Population interaction is another concept that occurs in surrounding environment. You take forest, you take grassland, you take desert. There are many organisms of different species live together, and between them occur several interaction. We'll study some of such interaction. The first interaction which I want to discuss with you is mutualism. What is mutualism? There is another name for mutualism, symbiosis. Mutualism or symbiosis. Two organisms live together such that they mutually benefit each other, they mutually help each other without harming each other. That is called as mutualism. Let us study one or two examples. One is, there is a bacterium called as rhizobium. Rhizobium. This bacterium or this bacteria lives in the root nodules of leguminous plant. It lives in the root nodules of leguminous plant. What they do there? They help the plant in fixing nitrogen. They help in nitrogen fixation. Plant require nitrogen, but plant cannot absorb nitrogen directly from the air. So that nitrogen is fixed in the root directly by this rhizobium. Thus they help the plant. And what the plant do in return? They provide them shelter and the required nutrients. See this? Mutually benefited. One example. Second example I'll take from lichens. What are lichens? Lichen is the association between algae and fungi. You might have seen on huge tree, on its bark, some white or grey color patches. They are actually living organism. It's algae and fungi. They live together. Algae, you know that it contains green pigment. It can prepare food by photosynthesis and provides food to the fungi. Fungi provide them shelter and the required nutrients. See, this is mutualism. One more example I'll give you, third one. The relationship between plant and the pollinator. You take example of any pollinator. Pollinators are the organism which help in pollination. You take example of honeybee. We'll take best example. Honeybee is the best example. Honeybee visits various flowers. Why do they visit? They need the sweet substance present in the flower, nectar. Afterwards they convert into honey. They need nectar. So whenever they visit a flower, they get nectar. That's the benefit for the honeybee. And what the plant, and what the benefit will the plant get? Pollination. During the action of collecting nectar from flower to flower, they help in pollination. Pollen grains will get transported from one plant to the another plant, from one flower to another plant. So this is mutualism. So like this, now you take example of yourself, means ourself and the plant. During respiration, what we do? We release carbon dioxide. We give out carbon dioxide. We take in oxygen. And what the carbon dioxide we give out is utilized by plants during their photosynthetic activity. And during photosynthesis, they release oxygen which we take in during respiration. All these are example for one type of population interaction called as mutualism. I'll take second one, that is parasitism. Parasitism is the relationship between parasite and the host. Parasite and the host. Here parasite gets the benefit and host is at harm. One is harmed, one is benefited. This type of interaction is called as parasitism. Parasitism are of two types. There are two types of parasites. Ectoparasite and endoparasites. Ectoparasites, they feed externally. They are dependent on the outside body structure of the host. You take one example is leech. Leech attacks from outside and sucks our blood. Ectoparasite. Ticks, mites and lice which is present in our hair, they attack from outside. Ectoparasite. Endoparasite, they enter into our body. They enter into our body and from internal part of our body they fulfill their food. Like ascaris. Ascaris is nothing but roundworm. Roundworm, they enter into our gut, into our digestive system. You know that. Similarly, the malarial parasite, plasmodium, they enter into our blood through mosquito. So all these are example for endoparasite. When we speak of parasite, there is one interesting phenomenon of one bird and we call it as brood parasitism. We call it as brood parasitism. What is that brood parasitism? It's a story of cuckoo and the crow. Cuckoo, or we call koyal. In Kannada we call kogile, koyal, cuckoo and the crow. Cuckoo never builds its own nest, you know that. What they do? Whenever they want to lay their eggs, they lay their eggs in the nest of crow. They lay their eggs in the nest of crow. So they are dependent on crow for keeping their eggs. And crow will not. The egg of crow and koyal is almost similar. Crow will not come to know. See now, this type of parasitism is called as brood parasitism. We can also see parasitism in case of plant. There is one plant called as cuscuta. Cuscuta. This plant doesn't have green color leaves. They lack chlorophyll. Means that cannot prepare their own food. Now what they do? They produce special kind of root called as haustoria. And with the help of that root, they send that root into the tree, means their host, into the tree, because the tree at the center contains phloem, food conducting tissue. So they send the root into that tree till that root reaches phloem, and from there they grab the food. So plant parasite. So this is another population interaction.